Hey guys, Brian O'Day. I'm one of the pastors of Pillar Church of Jacksonville and executive director of Praetorian Project. And I'm joined by Colby Garman, one of the pastors of Pillar Dumfries, also serves as our board president for Praetorian Project. How you doing today, Colby?
I'm doing great. Glad to be able
Awesome.
to talk with everybody today.
We are in the midst of our 31 days of prayer. And today we're going to be talking about and praying for our pastors, but something very specific that our pastors would focus some of their efforts, a lot of their efforts, in training the next generation of pastors, church planners.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of context. How long have you been pastoring at Pillar Dumfries?
I've been pastoring at Pillar Dumfries since 2010. And so we're going on like I've been here 14 years full time since July of 2011. So, you know,
Gotcha.
I've done 13 times around the sun
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
on,
that's when
on
we met.
course.
We met fall of 2010. So
Yeah,
15
that's right.
years of crazy.
Yeah.
How many, do you even know off the top of your head, how many churches have you guys sent out during
Yeah.
that time?
Yeah. So I think because there's like direct send outs and then like
Yeah.
more like grandchildren, great grandchildren. I
Right.
think I went back and looked, it's 15 or 16 direct send outs,
Wow.
in that time. And not all of, I think 11 of those are still meeting. Uh,
Okay.
we were
That's
some of the obviously early experimenters here at Pillar
yeah.
Operations. Um,
Yeah, and you're
but
alluding to it. There's not every church that we send out makes it to their fifth birthday. It's actually
right.
um it's
Yeah.
difficult to get a church plant to their fifth birthday.
But if you take the rest of the generations, you're looking at somewhere around another 15 or 20
Wow.
in addition to that as grandparents or great grandparents. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. What types of things do you as a pastor actually do to facilitate your church being able to send out church planners?
yeah, I mean, when I think about what it takes to train the next generation of pastors and planters, there's a couple of things that I think people need. One, we have to model ministry well.
Yeah, good.
And we try to think about like how can we do healthy ministry as pastors and be effective. We want people to see that. So we're always trying to figure out how do we provide the best model for ministry that people could aspire to. And part of that is thinking about reproducibility. Am I modeling ministry in a way that other people look and go, I think I could do that. I could learn to do that and aspire to. Modeling is only helpful if you give people access.
Hmm.
We try to, as people are growing in their faith, we want people to have access into observing more and more of the leadership experience in the
Okay.
life of the church, both by, functioning as a plurality of elders, but be creating positions where people can function like a pastoral assistant or an intern. I think over the years, even just like if we go down the kind of level of commitment tree, 3 month interns and 6 month interns. I mean, we've had dozens of those
Hmm.
over the years. Some of whom has gone on to plant with us, some of who've just gone on to do really other cool things in ministry. But those experiences have allowed them to have access into seeing what does it look like.
Yeah.
Um, and so we do that, and then we want to be intentional in some training. We do a thing called a missional leadership cohort. We have a residency, but those various experiences are intended to say we want to spend purposeful time with you, maybe
Hmm.
somebody who is not thinking about ministry, but we essentially want to say all of us can grow to the point of really being able to embrace what it looks like to lead in ministry. And we want to bring people as far along and have some intentional development where we explain what it's like, we teach, we go theologically in depth to why we do things the way we do, and provide that. And then, yeah, you've got to be willing to bring some people into the orbit of your ministry, kind of at the top level, to say, when you leave here, we want you to be a pastor.
Hmm.
And
That's awesome.
we're going to give you opportunities, give them experiences to stretch, like
Yeah.
carry real weight pastorally. And so that part of it is really important, I think, is like where are people going to get reps? And we
Yeah.
want to be a place where people get reps.
That's awesome. Very good. Yeah, you guys have displayed that really well. I was early on in 2010, 2011, the recipient of a lot of that. And that's to watch that mature over the past 14 years has
Yeah.
been really cool. So what types of things get in the way of doing all of those things?
The answer to that is literally everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much about what it takes individually to lead our own responsibilities that can get in the way of that. But a couple things that I think are notable. Pastoral insecurity can get in the way. Uh,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you are threatened by other people being celebrated in their gifts, or
Hmm.
even at times where they do really well and it contrasts something you're not very good at, and people in the body
Hmm.
will notice it and say it, like you either, if you're insecure, you're going to be bothered by that. If you're not, you're going to kind of be like, of course, that's great. I'm glad that person's doing that. So insecurity is a big one, I think. I think it's a bigger one than most people would realize is, just pastors needing to develop in that. Um,
So let's hang on to that for a second because people are
sure.
praying. People are going to pray based on this video.
Yeah.
So, how would you turn that into a prayer request? Like, what would you want us to be praying for a pastor struggling with that pastoral insecurity?
Yeah, I think I would want to pray that the pastor would have such a kingdom mindset that they want to see people do more effective things than them,
Yeah.
and that they would celebrate that would be a joy to them. It's a maturity to get to a point like I would want my kids to be more successful than me. I want to be if the greatest position we can have is serving in the kingdom, the most people I can serve that go on to do really significant things, the better, even if I don't get recognized in that or whatever. So we want to pray like that would be our heart. Like
All
just
right.
give
That's
away
good.
that to ministry, pray for pastors. Um,
Yeah.
but I also think part of it is praying for pastors to be confident in what they know and to
Mm,
do it well and to show other people how to do it. Uh,
mm,
and and see that as a valuable part of their ministry. So.
mm. That's great. It's good. You were on a list of other things that might get in the way of training pastors.
Yeah, I mean, just the inbox and demands of day-to-day ministry with people can mean that we don't save the time to invest and pour into those who can do the ministry with us, who are going to do the ministry elsewhere,
Yeah.
and uh, and so I think that's a thing that can get in the way of that. And then I would say the challenges that come with inviting less mature individuals into the process of learning to become more mature in ministry.
Mm. Okay.
So it's like when somebody's starting out, um, they don't know how to do everything well. They're going to handle some situations that, you might have to come and do clean up on aisle three
Mhm.
and just be
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best way to handle that. Or it's going to
Yeah.
create conflicts where if you did it yourself, you probably could avoid conflicts. And wanting to avoid that is partly why sometimes we don't empower other people to do
Mhm.
things. So that's a big barrier, I think. We just have to embrace a little bit of the mess to
Yeah.
be able to let people develop.
And there's some culture development in the church to tolerate some of those things. Like, hey, if we're a place where training is happening and we don't have a zero defect mentality, then we've got to, like, more than just you and or your fellow pastors are going to have to embrace that. The church is going to have to embrace that as well. So, yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah.
What other specific prayer requests can we be praying for our pastors to just keep this on the forefront of our mind? We all want to. We get in rooms with one another. We're like, yes, multiplication, let's do it. And then, like you said, we kind of go back home and it's tempting to get just caught up in the grind of ministry. So, what other specific prayer requests do you have for us?
Yeah, I think I would just encourage you to pray that our pastors would see the value in giving their time to this.
Yeah.
Um, that that they would have the wisdom how to lead the church to embrace it as a culture.
Yeah.
I think that can be hard. On one level, you're saying, "Hey, I want you to understand why I'm not doing X, Y, or Z, and
Yeah.
rather I'm spending time with some of these more mature folks who I'm trying to equip to be able to do ministry."
Yeah.
There's a certain step of faith to that because there's a lag effect to the impact that it has. But over the years, if you take the step of faith to go, I'm going to get out of the inbox a little bit and invest in some people that are fine right now. They're not the ones who are hurting. They're not the ones who need, like, then the result is we're going to have higher bandwidths, both to send, but also here within the body to be able to care. And so leadership development takes some faith, and it takes helping the church understand and buy into that. And so you can pray that they would do a good job being patient with the church, teaching the church, modeling that, explaining it so that everybody can kind of understand why the church functions the way it does.
Hmm. Yeah, man, that's good.
The
Man,
last one, Brian, I just want to
yeah.
say, because over the years, I mean, I would pray that they would help people navigate the sorrows that come with sending.
Hmm. Yeah,
The more we send, the more we miss the people we send,
yeah.
and that wears on people. And so, uh, just being able to have the pastoral sensitivity and the courage to say this is what it means for us to lay down our lives for the kingdom. Let's keep doing it, and trust that someday we're gonna rejoice that we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. You and I have talked about that a fair amount. Like we're not sending out the guys that we're fed up with. Like we're sending out our best friends a lot of times to
Yeah.
go plant churches elsewhere, which means we don't have that daily, weekly interaction with them. And that wears on you. We do it anyway in a military community, so we're saying goodbye to members all the time anyway. Sometimes elders, and so we're saying goodbye to those folks, and then we send them out in church planting. And so yeah, that's a constant grind for us. So
Yeah.
then I very much appreciate you bringing that one up.
But it's also it's not just for us, it's a constant grind for our members who love them as
Yeah.
well. And I
Yes.
think that's
Yeah.
part of what I would just say. Just pray that our pastors would have the boldness not to shrink back from doing it because it brings discomfort to our lives.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think another one, this is really helpful. An eternal perspective, like we're all going to
Mhm.
spend forever together. And
Right,
so if you and I like hanging out, which we do, we'll have forever for that.
right,
So we're going to spend our
right.
few breaths here to go and bring as many people with us as we can.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Colby, thank you for your time. If you've watched to this point, please take some time now to pray for our pastors, specifically that we would prioritize raising up the next generation of pastors and church planters. I love you guys.